Hello, how is everybody today? It's 11 o'clock my time, Pacific time, so it means it's time to grab 55 already of no brush required. Voila, here we go again.
Here we go again. And you know what? I find Tuesday rolls around very quickly.
Yeah, and so does Monday, and so does Friday, and it all just seems to be snowballing this year for me.
Yeah. Some might argue those days roll around equally as fast as Tuesday does.
Yeah, I don't know. It's a weird thing, isn't it?
It is a weird thing. It is a weird thing.
All perspective. Look at, we've got lots of people popping on. How are you today, Barbara?
I'm doing great. I'm doing great. It's nice spring day out there in February. A little bit of rain, a little bit of overcast. It's just the most bizarre winter that we've had.
I hear you. Douglas and I are stuck in a new torrential parade of rain. We've got like this tsunami of rain happening.
We're getting it. We're getting that on Thursday. It's just been mild. We actually had one day, and that was Sunday, where we went out snowshoeing. But I think all that snow will be gone by the weekend.
I saw you posted that, and I'm thinking, okay, is this like a throwback post to when you were in Nova Scotia that winter?
No. Oh, beautiful property that my friend bought. She and her husband bought a farm, 100 acres, and we've been just itching to get out there to snowshoe. But I think it's not gonna last. Yeah. It's gonna be a mud pit. How are you today?
I am good. Look, yes, Douglas agrees with me. Pacific Northwest is getting soaked. I went to the gym this morning. Yay me, always do that first. And there was so much standing water on the road. I was worried about hydroplaning. There's that much water that's coming down, and we have a lot of mountain streams near us, and normally they're just kind of creeks, and everything was rushing and white water today.
Wow.
It's just, yeah, I hope I hope my husband cleaned the gutters out. Otherwise, we're going to be overflowing.
Oh, no. That is just crazy. I think, Douglas, you're in Seattle?
Yeah, he is.
Yeah.
He is. Yeah. Well, so we had a bit of a change. We had our friend Megan Woodward Johnson was going to come on and chat today, and she had some unexpected last minute conflict of scheduling. So we're going to postpone that and catch up with her in a few weeks, hopefully. But perfect timing because our friend JoAnn Godenir, who just got back from a 2-week art residency in France, was willing to come on and chat. So I'm just going to grab her.
I got a million questions. I got a million questions.
I just want to hear all about it.
Yeah, I want to hear.
Bonjour.
Bonjour.
Bonjour. Bonjour.
Don't make me speak French. It's bad.
Ça va bien. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. In Paris, they just said,
just like, don't
speak English.
Don't do that to our ears.
Yeah, exactly.
That was my experience in France too. They don't want to hear our Canadian, the accent that we learn in school in Canada is probably more Quebecois than Parisian. So.
Yeah.
Well, welcome back.
Yeah. So how are you guys?
Yeah, you look like you're in your new studio space. Are you?
I hope it's not too echoey. So there's there's a smaller gallery attached to the main gallery here at Christine Clausen. So I'm in the smaller gallery, and they're having a photography show right now. So that there's some wonderful photographs behind me. But because where the studios are, we don't have walls to the ceiling. And it kind of can get a little loud in there, and everybody can hear what you're saying. You can hear what they're saying. So, well, no, but I'm in here, so we can swear away.
Yay!
Nobody can hear us. Yeah.
So I gotta know, I know nothing about residencies. I don't know. I was showing Roman pictures of where you were, and he goes, "That just looks like a holiday." And I said, "Well, I'm sure there's more to it than that." But
well, it is.
Tell us, what is a residency, and how do you apply, and all of that.
And even backtrack and tell us where it was.
Oh yeah,
because other people who are watching might not know.
True.
What's been up to?
Okay.
Yeah, I'm all excited.
Well, artist residencies, like there's artist residencies all over the world. So they can be, you know, several cabins, they can be in someone's house, they can be, you know, there's several different versions of them. But it's just a place for artists to go where they're out of their environment, and it takes certain, you know, things off their plate. Like in this residency, for instance, I didn't have to worry about cooking or cleaning or anything like that. Like you're fed, and so you just get to focus on your art and be inspired by a new location if it's a new location for you. So people go on residencies for different reasons. Some go to produce a bunch of work, some go for the experience, some just like, it's sort of very self-directed. It's different than a workshop. There's no one teaching you. You bring your own supplies. You decide what you're going to do.
You had to bring paints and canvas and all of that with you? Wow.
Yeah. So I learned about Chateau Orcovaux through Instagram. And I always thought it was very beautiful, but I never thought I could go to a residency. And a friend of mine said, no, like just apply. And I happened to be throwing in, you know, when you do sort of open call, I take a day and I, you know, apply to open calls and things like that. So I just threw a application in, and 6 months later they said, do you want to come? And I'm like, yes, I do. Yeah, so that's how I ended up going there. But yes, you bring all your supplies, but at the chateau, if you need anything, because where this residency is, you are really in the French countryside. Right. There's nothing in the village.
No blitz.
Coffee shop,
no distractions.
So no distractions. Oh, there's lots of distractions, but they will take you into the little town that has a limited art store, and you can get like some supplies. But I bought my supplies in Paris, and Amazon does deliver there. But yeah, I think their goal though is to have an art store there.
So how many people? So tell us about the location, where you stayed, what your studio was like.
Okay. So Orcovaux is located it's northeast France. So it's about a 3-hour train ride from Paris, which is a lovely, lovely train ride. And then they come pick you up, and it's about a 45-minute drive from there. And you're truly just in the French countryside, and it's beautiful. So there's about 40 people, I think, that live in the little town of Orcovaux. And the people, it's Ziggy and Beulah who run the residency and own the house. They took over the house, they started fixing it up, and then they ended up buying even a couple of the houses in town. So some people stay in the chateau, and then some people stay in the little houses in town. And I think the ultimate goal is that they want to buy several of the properties and have galleries and art, you know, artists living and working, and it's going to be like a little art hub,
a destination
one day. And I think it'll happen.
People who live in Paris or local and can come out for the day.
Yeah. So the house, the closest I could sort of compare the house is if you've seen Downton Abbey. The house is very similar. I think on History Night, they said that the house has 33 fireplaces.
And they're big fireplaces, right? Like
girl, like some are little, some are big, some are, you know, so it's you know, you've got the main floor. It has your salons and dining room and things like that. And then the bedrooms on the second floor. And then the third floor where, you know, the staff used to sleep. Those are where the studios are. My bedroom was on the main floor. I was the only person that had a bedroom on the main floor. But I had this big, beautiful bedroom, and it was really lovely, and I loved it. Some people stayed in the houses in town. So you either have your studio in the chateau on that third floor, or there's something called the stables, and it's the old stables. And there's several studios down there as well. They're a little bit bigger. And I think if you really want to throw some paint around, or, you know, do something stinky like spray paint, that's a good place to be, because you're not spray painting.
So who else was there? Like where were people coming from? Look at the big group.
We had people from Israel,
Mhm.
a lot from the United States, a couple Canadians, Denmark.
And how many
Denmark,
artists were
yeah.
there at the same time?
I don't remember the exact number, but it was it was like 17 to 19 artists, I think. Some of you are on here. Randy, I
Yeah,
know
put
you're
it
I
in
was
here,
the
just
so
I
you
was
know the
curious.
number.
Yeah, I was just curious whether it was like 5 or 50
Yeah.
somewhere.
Oh, like I think we were one of the larger residencies, and our group was quite diverse in
Mhm.
our artistic pursuits as well.
Oh.
We had writers. We had a woman who she wrote a screenplay, and I can't wait for it to be turned into a movie because it's super cool. Um,
Wow.
so she was on
Wow.
Survivor. She had
Yeah.
so many great stories. I know. And then one girl there, she won Project Runway. So she's a fashion designer, but she was there to paint. We had like
Mhm.
Randy, who I just mentioned, he's a photographer. So we had installation artists, which I learned a ton from the installation
Yeah.
artists because I don't do that type of art, and just what they have to do to put proposals together and things like that. So yeah, during the day you kind of go off to your studio and do your work, but when you really
Right.
get to know people
Was
is
this like a
at
2-week
mealtime.
residency or 1-week residency, or how long?
Uh, some people are there for 2 weeks,
Mm.
some people are there for a month, but then there are some people that stay longer, like even for 2 months, or like what, it depends what they're working on and what their lifestyle is like.
And you
How
had
long
2
were
weeks.
you there?
You know,
You were 2?
yeah. I was there for 2 weeks. Um, my life doesn't really
Yeah.
afford me
Mhm.
the luxury of leaving for a month. Maybe one day. But I
Just
think
about
3 weeks would
right.
actually be the perfect time. Yeah, yeah, because 2 weeks,
Yeah.
I somewhat felt like, oh, I'm just getting into
So
my
what were your
groove, and then I have to
goals
leave. So,
when you left, when you got there? You had, some ideas about what you wanted to accomplish, what you wanted to produce?
hmm I did have some goals.
Hmm.
Because like I have a busy practice for me at home, so I wanted to
Hmm.
do something else on my residency, and I thought before I went,
Hmm.
okay, what do I not get to do at home? What do I not have time for that I want to do more of? And that was really thinking, experimenting and playing. Oh, I can see everyone joining. Hi, everybody. Um, and I wanted to do some research when I was there too. So that was my goal. I went, but I also, when talking to other people who had done residencies,
Yeah.
I knew I just wanted to sort of keep it open. And, and whatever came up, I wanted to be able to do that as well. It's a little tricky at the chateau because, like whatever supplies you bring, that's what you have to deal with,
Yeah.
right? So,
And then you
but
have to ship
it
all
was
that
great.
home, or did you finish work there that you brought home, or was it all like you did?
Yeah, I did bring work home,
Hmm.
and they will help you ship it home. I did not understand before I went that they actually have
Oh,
all the shipping supplies there. So that was one thing I wish I had known, because I was thinking, oh, do
yes.
I have to schlep all these art supplies and shipping supplies across
Yeah.
on a train, plane, everything? So
Oh,
So
good.
if
they'll
you were
ship it
doing
back
it
for you.
again, would you
Yeah,
pre-ship your stuff out there?
yeah, I know exactly what I
Like
do
I
now,
wouldn't
so
even
for
know
sure.
where,
Yeah,
yeah,
I
I
do
wouldn't
some
even
works
know
on
where to start.
canvas,
Like
and
how would you choose which paints to take and which tools to take?
well, I knew that I wanted to try this French paint. It's called Flash. You can get it in the US, but I don't think we can get it in Canada. And it's just a super pigmented matte
Hmm.
acrylic paint. So I knew I wanted to try that. And then did bring some Yupo paper, but I sort of took my chances on substrate. And I was like, well, I'll just find something. And I ended up, I was walking through the streets of Paris, and I came across this bookstore. It was a used bookstore. And so I just sort of tootled around. There was a small snippet of it in one of my
Mm.
Instagram
Yes. Yeah.
reels. And I found this music
Oh,
book, this really old, tattered music book. And I grew up, taking piano and singing and dancing and the whole
Hmm.
thing. And it just really spoke to me, this old book. So most of the work I did was on the pages of that
Beautiful.
music book.
yeah.
And you brought all that back. So would this be like could you use this for collage materials or just?
I know someone said it to me.
We'll ask you in a year.
Not yet. Not yet. Yeah, it really was like, it created some jumping off points for things I want to do in my art. And then I remember one day I went for a walk with someone that works there, and I saw these turkey tail mushrooms, and I had to go back and just make some work based on those mushrooms. And you can do that there. You go for a walk, and then I came home and watched The Last of Us, and I was like, well, now I can't paint mushrooms because they are freaky to me now.
No.
Are you guys watching
What is
The
it?
Last of Us? Oh, it was shot. Every Calgarian's watching it.
Oh,
It's a movie, and it was shot in Calgary.
Okay.
But
Something to do with mushrooms, though.
Yeah,
Psychedelic mushrooms.
yeah, but it's about mushrooms. It's like post-apocalyptic mushrooms.
My kind of
like,
movie.
kind of take over, and yeah,
there you go. Add it to the list.
yeah, it's really good.
So
Really good.
I think it was Rena asked a question.
Yeah.
Like when you apply, were there certain criteria? Did you have to write a big essay on what you would do with this if you were given the opportunity?
No, I found the registration quite simple and easy to understand. It's no more difficult than answering an open call. They want to see your work. They want to know that you're a working artist. But one of the things at Chateau is that they really want to take in artists at all levels. It's not, you don't have to reach a certain level and then apply. There's people there at all levels, which creates a really interesting mix of people.
Did you come home with any changes in direction in your work? Did you have any, little discoveries and surprises that, are influencing what you're doing now when you're out of that environment?
Well, it's a little early to I just got over my jet.
All right, we'll give you a break.
It's a little early to tell, but I did learn. I learned a lot about myself. I learned a lot about the way that I think, so I learned a lot. And I actually did a lot of research when I was there. That was one of my goals, was to research some of the artists that I feel are, that I'm influenced by, and I feel like my art fits in a little bit with their work. So I was doing some research on, Jasper Johns, who's also self-taught artist, and Agnes Martin, who was born in Saskatchewan, if you did not know.
Prairie
born
girl.
In Saskatchewan. Yeah, she was a prairie girl. So I had time to do those kind of things. And at home in my studio, I feel like
Were you nervous, to go? Were you kind of like, this is a big step?
Yes, and I was kind of nervous because at the end there's open studios, so I was a little nervous about open studios.
Did they have any
Sorry, go ahead.
No, just what do you mean by open studios? That.
So on one of the last days, we went around to everyone's studio and just, everyone said what they were working on, and so it was a good experience. I was a little nervous. I wasn't sure what I was going to do, but it actually it was an exercise in curation, because I had created all this. I had done 2 weeks of play. I was feeling like I've gone in a million directions, but it was this really great exercise. How am I going to curate this so that it's an experience for people? So I really actually enjoyed it in the end for something that I was kind of dreading.
So, it's a nice way to do it, because you've had 2 weeks with, I'm assuming everybody arrives at the same time, or was there over? So you've already interacted with many of these people over dinner and wine most nights. And...
Oh, yeah.
Okay, I got to know, what's a typical day?
Yeah.
What was a typical day? Or maybe there wasn't a typical day. Maybe they were all different.
A typical day is that you'd wake up, I guess around 8. Breakfast started at 9.
What'd you have? Okay, I like stuff.
Talk about the food.
So they feed you breakfast and dinner are the formal 2 meals at the Chateau. Breakfast was the same every day. There was hard-boiled eggs, cold meats. They always had a big, huge bucket of walnuts that you could crack. And of course, like baguettes, like the baguettes were amazing. And really the baguette was, like, the bread was just a vehicle for the butter, because the butter was like out of this world. And then they had a big basket of like croissants,
cheeses,
and pain de
any
chocolat,
cheeses?
and, like, the whole gamut. Oh yeah, cheese. Nutella was a big thing when we were there. Fresh fruit, and then French press coffee. That was like, that was breakfast every, and then lunch was really like, you could just have the leftovers from the night before, because dinner was, there was soup, there was salad, there was like usually 2 vegetables, and then there was like a couple of meats, and then there was dessert. Like, it was just,
and wine.
The meals were so huge. And then wine. Yeah, you had to bring your own wine. And you could either bring your wine, or they had like a wine cave, and you could go down and get wine every night.
Okay, this sounds
$10.
I'm in.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the desserts, like, I'm a dessert person. I'm gonna tell you, it was like, one night we had chocolate chip cookies for dessert, which you're like, okay, great, cookies. And then she made a like mascarpone whipped, like, dream-like substance to
dip
eat with
them?
your cookies. Yeah, it just, everything. Oh yeah, like, it was, the food was really outstanding. Chef Marie, thank you, Chef Marie.
Okay, so
yeah, it was
you have
really
your
great.
breakfast.
Okay, so
No,
you
I'm
have
like
your breakfast. Sorry, I'm off track.
I'm thinking about baguettes.
So okay, so you have your breakfast, and then then a lot of people went to their studio. If you're a photographer, you might have headed out to take some photos. Some people went for, if it was a nice day, like I tried to get out for a walk in the morning. It was cold when I was there. Yeah, so you'd go to your studio, start working, and then I'd go down for lunch at, like, I don't know, 1 or 2. And people might pop by your studio, or you might go visit some other people in their studio. I always loved when people would come visit me, and the cat, Diablo, was often napping on my couch. Yeah. There were 2 cats. There was Baby and Diablo, but who hated each other. But yes. Yeah, and then you'd work in your studio really until dinner, unless there was something going on. Now, events in the evening sometimes happen before dinner or after dinner, but dinner was typically 6:45, 7, or 7:30ish. It was a later dinner. So one of the nights was Artist Journey night. That was one of the first nights where you kind of talk about what brought you to art. Everybody has about 5 minutes. And then we had a literature night. It was one night where everyone shared something. Like, it could be something they wrote, it could be a poem they liked, some song lyrics, it could be anything. We had a writer's workshop because we had a lot of writers with us, so you could attend or not attend. One night we played this awesome game called Fishbowl. We had a dance party one night. Yeah, we had a lot of, like, and then we had the history of the house, which was amazing. Learning about the history of the house was quite something, and how Ziggy got the house and how it turned into a residency.
It just sounds like an amazing experience. Would you do this regularly? Would you do this like residency
year?
Or?
I would, like, I would go back to the chateau itself in a couple of years, like when I could go for a month. I think I would go. And I would do it differently, but I do want to experience.
Because they're everywhere, aren't they? They're all over the world.
For sure.
I mean, you could potentially.
Yeah, the next one I'd like to do one that has access to the city and an art store, but that I can drive to, so I can bring like a ton.
So you know about didn't I send you any information about the new Santa Fe galleries that Jen Tuff Gallery is going to be opening in May? So she's got something like that in Santa Fe, and it's just a 10-minute drive from the main part of the city. So that's another sort of interesting.
Yeah, that you can do that. But then you got to drive to Santa Fe.
No. So,
like,
yeah, you could ship it home.
Ship your work
for
home.
sure. You can ship it home, and you can get a studio down there for a week, and but the studios are separate from where the accommodations are, so you could come in, but you'd be going off to arranging your own accommodation somewhere else.
Yeah. Yeah. It's this one was, I've never been on another residency, so I can't really compare it.
Yeah.
But in my mind, it was just fabulous, and I learned a lot, and it's like art summer camp with adults
with wine and
in a French chateau. Like, what could go wrong?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, it was quite amazing. So a lot of people that go make a trip out of it, and they either spend time in Paris before or after. So I saw some amazing shows in Paris. Right now, I think it's been to the States, but the Louis Vuitton Foundation had a Monet and Joan Mitchell exhibit.
Yeah.
It was amazing.
Did you do Paris before? Did you spend like a few days in Paris when you got there, or at the end?
I did. I spent a couple of days in Paris before, and then I got back. They drove us, I took the train back to Paris. And then I had that day in Paris and flew out the next day. And it's interesting. It would be interesting to spend time in Paris after the residency too, I think, and kind of come down. Like, I got off this residency, came home, and you just step right back into reality.
Yeah.
It's like, whoa. Your brain is a little like, oh, what's happening here? And they do prepare you for that at the residency. They're like, okay, no one go home and make any major life decisions.
I would imagine like 2 weeks where you're really focused on your own art and just paying attention to things differently than you would at home would be transformational. Yeah. Like on some level you would come back different.
Yeah. Yeah, and I remember walking down the hall in Orqueville one of my last days there, thinking, okay, this feeling that you're having, like, try to take that home. It's difficult to maintain for sure, but just try to remember it and take the time. And I think I feel this way, and several people also said when they were there, it's just so nice being around people who understand that, like I told everyone, what are you going to do today?
Yeah.
I'm going to my studio to play. And no one asks
what are you doing?
Why. No one is like, what is the purpose of that? They all understand. Like, everyone there understands what we're doing as artists, and it's a unique environment.
I can't imagine. It's not like when you come out of your studio at the end of the day at home and your family says, what did you make today?
Dinner? Or
what did you make today? And you're like,
nothing.
What did you make
pieces of colored paper around on a canvas for 4 hours.
Yeah.
Or stared for a lot of time.
I know. Exactly. I sat and looked, and you're just you're surrounded by people who understand, and get it. And, you walk into the salon, someone's coloring something, someone's writing on their laptop. It's just the entire place.
Imagine it reminds me of some of the books we've been reading, some of the art books, where the artists really were like little colonies that hung out together, and they would, go to coffee shops together and talk for hours, and, work in their studios and then compare notes, and just having that kind of collegial group would be just and we can't replicate it here, really. Can we?
I mean, social media works to us, gives us some of that. I mean, you think, we have these conversations, that helps, right? We can do this sort of thing. So, and we do get to go to workshops together every now and then, which is fun. And we have to talk about that, but that's for another conversation.
Yes, we do have to talk about it. I've already warned Roman, I think I'm going back to New York.
I'd like to.
Yeah.
Just so you know. Yeah, but I highly recommend any residency. Someone's talking about the Banff residency program. I know it's a beautiful program as well. It's right outside of Calgary, and like, there are residencies all over the world. There's also Empire of Dirt. It's in Creston, BC, which I know people that have gone to that one as well, of Dirt. Which looks interesting. And Empire of Dirt. Yeah, I think it's in Creston. But it's pretty remote. Like if you want to be in the wilderness and be away from it all, then
Oh, Rena's asking
really great
the question,
place.
expense. You don't have to give us absolute dollar values.
Okay, so some residencies, like you can get a grant for, and you can apply for a grant to, you know, and put it towards Orcavo as well. I thought the expense, given that they were housing you and feeding you, was really quite reasonable. Everyone who went in my session got a Diderot grant to help cover the costs. So that was very helpful. The goal of the chateau is to, you know, eventually be working enough so that the residency would be at no cost to artists, or at least some other artists, so that it's available to everyone. But being in France, I mean, the flight over and things like that, that's what's going to cost you. Staying in Paris.
Probably shipping things back. I can imagine.
Yeah, things like that. Like there's all that, added sense. But I thought for 2 weeks accommodation and food, I was like, you know, this really isn't.
Yeah.
Really
Douglas asked, he posted a question in stickers. He was just saying, you know, you had to bring all your own supplies. How big did you work? I think you mentioned that, but were some people working really big?
Oh yeah. Actually, you guys, well, one of Nick Wilton's very good friends was there, Nance, if she's here. Hi, Nance. And she worked quite big. Like she's an oil painter, and so she had these huge landscapes. She's a beautiful painter. That she
oil paint. So she would have shipped, if she's still on the call, like if shipping home wet oil paintings.
How does that work?
Yeah, man, how does that work?
Well,
seriously.
Well, she had to quit painting a couple of days before, but the way Nance paints is with a lot of wax, and so she just does multiple thin layers to create these landscapes, and so they're not a typical thick oil.
Right, and you can still roll it. The wax is flexible enough to roll it. Okay.
Yeah, she can roll hers.
Oh, who is Nick's? Rita wants to know who's Nick's friend? Is she on his team?
Is she a coach? No.
She's not on his team. No, but she knows Terry Froelich and a bunch of those people at the Creative Missionary, because she has a studio at ICB.
Wow. I'm in awe. I'm in awe. I want to go away.
I know.
Well, I would encourage anyone to apply. You know, when I applied, I said, okay, like they say, what are your top 3 picks of times to go? And I just put a note in saying, you know, I have some flexibility. I'll take, you know, whatever spot you got, call me. You know, and some people, it took them a year to get in. Some people were like, they called me and I said I could come in a month, and they were there.
Can you spell for me, Chateau? What's the last bit?
Geez, you want me to
spell it approximately so I can tag it. Share this at the end. I can't go off of this before I post it, otherwise I lose it.
Yeah.
Okay. So it's the Chateau _
Give me an approximate.
Follow them. Do you not follow them, Tara?
I might, but I don't know.
I can send it to you.
I'm not sure if it's D. Okay. It could be D' or just.
There we go.
So
thank you.
Thank you, Randy.
Randy. So now Randy. I won't have to. I'll know exactly who to tag. Thank you. Much appreciated.
Yes. Yeah, like they're. I highly.
Thank you.
They're
probably going to get a whole flood of applicants after this call.
That's okay. Well, I think applications might be closed right now, but I just follow them and keep your eye out when they're open. Definitely apply. It's a wonderful.
This
experience.
is all they do then is host these artist residencies, like all year. Or do they, shut down for part of the year? Yeah,
they used to shut down for part of the year, but now the house runs all winter. And the power goes out quite a lot. And you have to run downstairs and turn your heaters on. But you know,
Yeah.
that's part of
I think what the most surprising thing to me out of what you said is I always assumed when you apply for these sorts of things, you had to have very clear and specific goals about what you wanted to accomplish in the time. And that would be the thing that would hang me up, opposed to going and giving myself the freedom to explore and not be so goal directed.
Yeah, like you don't have to say what you're going to do or put a proposal together.
Like you don't have to produce a body of work
it's
by the end of the 2 weeks.
No, they do, like they may ask you to leave a piece for the gallery there. Some people did work that, like, one girl carved, you know, a head out of a tree trunk and moss, and like there's no way she could bring it home. So that's obviously staying. And so yeah, not everything comes home, and they want to keep it for when they can open the galleries on a more permanent basis. So they have a whole room of artist work that they're like,
to the public.
So would you recommend that people have a little bit of space when they get home so that they don't have to just jump right back into their normal life after an experience like this?
Yeah, or just like, I would just give yourself a few days of doing, like, not jumping right back into life, because the jet lag alone is going to sort of get you. But, and also some people took the train right from like they drove us to Chaumont, the town. Some people took the train and then caught a flight home, which is convenient. But what I learned is that, like, Parisians go on strike a lot. And when they don't like things, like the streets are blocked and things like taxis don't work and things like that. So there can be some pressure around that. So I was glad that I flew out the next day and I didn't have the pressure, because they would just cancel trains. Like, nobody's getting on the train, nobody's going with it. So then you're like, well, I have no way to get, and I got to catch a flight. And even the day that I left, all the taxis were on strike. So I had to find some way to get to the airport. Yeah, because when they're the French. When they're unhappy, they're like, we're gonna make it known.
Mess up your life too.
I love it. If anybody has any questions, you can either throw them in the comments, or you can hit your questions sticker at the bottom right screen and type it in. Then we can all read the question. I just like to intercede and let people know they can ask.
Well, we've had people
ask me,
kind of making suggestions too about other residencies. Somebody whose I can't quite see their name was saying there's some in Italy too, and they're fabulous. And
Italy, yeah. I think there's a website, and I want to say it's Resi Art or something, and it just lists all the art.
Interesting. Yeah, I know. Somebody doing one in Newfoundland.
There's also
Newfoundland has a place out in the middle of nowhere. Valerie Butters is a Vancouver artist, and she did a month or two out there. It looked phenomenal.
Fogo Island has residencies, but I heard, if it's true, that like they invite you to Fogo Island. You might not be able to apply, but then there's, I think it's called Vashon, which is on an island by Seattle, I think. Vashon.
That could be on Bainbridge. My guess would be like it's on like Bainbridge Island or something.
Something like that. But yeah, then Banff has artist residencies. They're kind of, I know Victoria has a few out in BC.
And
so
you can just have one at home, because that's what I'm doing right now for supply.
Do you have like
your
meals made for you though, Tamara? And
no, but I'm not making meals for 3 other people, so there's a little bit of and my oldest moved out 2 or 3 weeks ago, so we are completely empty nesters now. So there is a lot of freedom in my life that all of a sudden has happened.
So something just went zipping by. Not a question,
but we would enjoy discussing the food again. Yes, the food was so lovely. Everything was covered in
any
butter.
Margaritas though? That's the big question. Did they have margaritas at this residency?
No, there were no margaritas. It was wine, beer, or butter. Like, well, you could go get margarita mix.
It was wine, beer, or butter. Did you say
wine, beer, or butter?
Basically, that's not what I said.
Wine, beer,
basically,
butter, and bread.
Yes.
I'd be good.
Yeah, I mean, you could go buy you can go buy whatever alcohol you want, but most people just drink wine. And I bought some beer.
Right? I guess you have to have the wine.
In chance.
I bet.
And the wine was so delightful. Yeah.
It sounds like a
great.
fabulous experience.
It was great.
Okay, I'm having a bread craving right now. Holy
It
doodle.
was,
And like with some soft
oh,
cheese, like soft bacon
yeah.
cheese. Did they do a lot of that?
Oh, all that. And it was just like, it was such a magical, we went on one of the last days, we all went for a hike. And we went on this, it was a long, beautiful hike. But I remember William, one of the artists, he said, if wood nymphs are a real thing, I'm pretty sure this is where they come from. Because
Magical.
it was just so picturesque and so beautiful.
Sounds it.
It was magical.
I love it.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah, it was great. Everything, Luke, from the food to the people to, you know,
And your room was comfortable,
awesome.
you slept well, and
The house is amazing.
no complaints.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, you didn't have
Yeah,
to
it was
get
great.
up till 7 or 8.
No complaints.
That's pretty nice.
Yeah. No. It was pretty. And you know what? If you didn't want to get up, like the breakfast stuff was out till 11. You did not have to get up. Nobody
you're a
was.
grown up.
Nobody was keeping you on task for anything.
I love
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, and nobody asked what did you do today. You could sit and do nothing.
And that'd be okay.
And
That's okay.
that's okay too.
Well, I feel like I've been on a little bit of a holiday today.
Did you come home and find that you want to make different food now that you want to cook like you cooked?
Well, well, what happened was I came home, and when dinner time rang around, like they would ring a bell, and I was like, "Where's the bell? Is someone going to ring a bell for dinner?"
You're
and
cooking
then I was
it.
like, "Oh, I'm supposed to cook dinner." Oh,
Right.
Not quite
Okay.
the same.
Yeah.
Oh,
Not the same.
Brianna-
No, but no, I have to clean up my act. Like I ate a croissant for breakfast every single day. Like I ate.
So
I
stretchy
ate my way
pants,
through
you would
that
suggest stretchy
residency.
pants when you, okay.
Yeah. Getting home and putting your jeans
Not really
back
doing
on,
that.
you're like, okay, I enjoyed myself.
Good.
I enjoyed myself,
Life is
but that's
short. You
okay.
gotta
That's
do
what I'm
that.
meant to do.
Sure.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Oh well. So what's up with you now? Now that you're back, are you? No, it's Nadine who's just moved into the same studio space as you, right?
Yeah. Yeah, Nadine's there. So we have, everybody's back there. Great. It's a full house back there now. All the studios are taken. And I'm just preparing work I've got a couple things going on this year. I have a show in the fall, actually 2 events in the fall, and possibly one in the spring. So I'm just working, painting and working. And it is good to get back. Like I gotta say, like 2 weeks of play was really fun, but I came home and was making some straight lines, and it was deeply satisfying.
And you got your tape. Did you take any tape with you to France?
I had to take a little bit of
Straight
tape
line
with me.
It's a beautiful thing. Okay?
But
like,
not much. Not
what
much.
would we do without
We
that?
had 2 guests on this month, Kyle Sorensen and Luke Liddell Stackhouse, that you probably know. And after those calls, this came home with me from the art store.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that's necessary. You know what I made some interesting when I was in France, and what I happened to bring with me. I had some Yupo paper, and then you know the brush that they use when they color your hair, those brush. So I just dipped that in some black gesso, and I was making some marks with that, and I just fell in love. Like I could fill a room with that. It was just those swirly lines, and I realized when I was in France that it's not only straight lines. I just love all lines. Like
and the way that the brush moves on the surface, something about that.
Yeah, and it really reminded me of those mushrooms that I saw, like the swirly lines kind of thing. And on Yupo, it just sort of glides.
No, now I'm going to have to make another trip to the art store.
It's just like slippery paper, like
well, yeah, it's non-porous paper. Non-porous paper. Yeah, I started doing, like, you can do it on regular paper too. Like I made some road like sort of swirls just on the music sheets, and then I got out the Yupo because it has this crisp, nice white background, and then you can make little swirls, and it just glides across in a lovely way.
Discoveries. Oh, I've got one more question here that's just popped up.
Yeah.
Oh, Bonnie doesn't know about hair color brushes. She wants to ask, what do you mean by hair color brush, or what are they like?
Well, if you go to the beauty supply store and you just ask them for like a color, I guess it's in between a color and a brush and a comb. It's about this wide. It's got a long handle, and the bristles are about this long. You know, it looks like this.
They're pretty stiff. The bristles are pretty stiff, right?
Yeah, they're kind of stiff. And then I did a couple pieces where I put different colors of paint across the whole thing, and then swiped that, and I tried everything. I wrote on my wall, because Jasper John said, this is not an exact quote. He said, pick a thing, do something to it, then do something else to it. So I kind of used that as my motto. I wrote it on the wall that when I was making a piece, that I would do something, and then I would take it back and do something else, and then take it down again a couple days later and do something else, and just keep working it, and keep playing with it. Just try different things.
That's great.
Tinker. You were a tinkerer.
I was there to tinker.
Oh yeah.
It was. I do too, but after 2 weeks, I have to say it was a bit much. I felt it was kind of like
now to apply it or see how it comes out, right?
Yeah.
But that's the beauty of those kinds of experiences too. You can't recreate them, and you can't extend them to replace every day. So you have to really figure out what that period of time is where you can. It's a magical sort of thing, right? You're there and you enjoy it and you're in the moment, but you don't want to stay there forever.
No, definitely not.
You always want to leave. You're still really having fun, and really fired up. You never want to kind of overstay your welcome on that sort of thing.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. And I couldn't even say goodbye when I left everybody. Like I was just like, I will see you again. Like it just didn't seem real that we just spent so much time together. So I really do believe I will see at least some of them again. I told everyone, if you're ever in the middle of Canada for some reason, that would be debatable. Yeah. I know some people that it's not the middle of Canada, but.
Well, this was delightful.
It was.
I feel like I've been away somewhere now after listening to you. So.
Oh, good. That's great.
Well, we'll be planning our next trip soon.
Yes. And apply for residency.
It does sound great.
Wonderful experience.
It does sound like an art camp. And I'm a former camper. I mean, I spent summers up in Algonquin Park and as a camper and loved it. And I know that feeling where you're in this other world, and then when you leave, it's like it's like landing on another planet. Yeah.
It really is. Yeah. It's true. Thanks for everyone that joined and is listening. And
wine and butter.
It was great talking to you guys. Thank you so much.
I think we'll have that too, Lou.
Yes.
I think I'll just pull out the butter and tell Roman, help yourself. And there's wine to wash it down with.
Yeah. All right. Well, thanks so much for being with us today, JoAnn. Thanks, guys, for your questions and hanging out here. And I will post this, and it'll be available on the replay soon if you just popped on partway through and you didn't know what you were missing.
Yep. You can hear about all the food.
Bye.
Awesome. Thanks so much.
Take care.
Bye.